Um, so I want to start off by just giving a little context for this session. So it was initially developed for the Expressive Arts Summit that UCLA put on. And so that was a longer 2-hour session. So it's been condensed to an hour. And I think just important to note that when it was developed for that, I had sort of the mental health profession in mind. I'm really excited to expand it and share it with all of you today. And I don't know where all of you are oriented in your professions, but I really believe that everyone can benefit from paying attention to physical cues and sensations and using our bodies in our lives and in our work and paying attention to them in whatever form they are in and showing up on a daily basis. So I also really believe in creating reflective space to do more of that. So I hope that part of today can be used for that kind of reflection amongst all of us, even though we are a large group. I also just want to add that more recently, I've been thinking a lot about chronic pain and chronic illness, as well as just differently abled bodies. And I am doing my best to be thoughtful and inclusive about that. And I think that my exercises today reflect that. But I also welcome feedback on that because it is something that I'm kind of is in my mental space at the moment, and just thinking about how to best serve our full community. Yeah, so I think we can move into just doing a quick overview of the agenda. So Dan, if you want to put up that slide so we can all kind of orient together toward that. So our goal today is to expand our awareness of our bodies as places of information, recuperation, and restoration. So we're going to do that through a little bit of checking in with ourselves and our bodies, orienting toward the space that our bodies are occupying right now in this moment. We're going to be talking about self-care and the intersection of self-care and bodies and somatic work, and thinking about some somatic-based concepts as a way of working with self-care. And then I'm going to be leading some grounding exercises and some activating exercises, and we'll talk a little bit more about how those physical exercises kind of span that continuum. And then as a closing, we'll do a kind of movement checkout. I'll explain that later, and then hopefully have some time for some verbal processing and reflection throughout too. So I'll mention here that I just invite you all to participate in the way that feels best and most engaging to you today. So if that feels like being on screen, I welcome that because I love seeing faces and that helps me feel like I'm talking to real people. But I also know that sometimes you can actually connect more to oneself and to your space if the camera's off. And if you want to go in and out of that, that works too. So however it works for you to do today, I invite you to do that. And I will at different times just invite either reflections in the chat, or sometimes, as Dan mentioned, hopefully we'll have some time for some people who, if you'd like to raise your hand and come off mute to speak to the group as well. All right, we can move on to the next slide. So starting us off today, I'd like us all to just check in with where you are right now in this moment with this question: how nourished do you feel in your body right now? And so Dan's put the poll up. I see responses coming in. Just take a moment, however you want to check in. So notice, is this coming from a mental space or from a physical space that you're answering this question? No wrong or right answer. Looks like majority of people have responded. And okay, so the majority at 44% is at a 3, so kind of in the middle there. Probably worth noting that 6% are at 5, so only 6% of us feel very nourished in this moment. Got 10% at 1, 2% at 15% at 2, 44% at 3, and 25% at 4. Great. So just kind of make a mental note of your number, and thank you for sharing. I think we can go ahead and close the poll. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is to just ask ourselves this question: where am I right now, and how do I feel in my body? Sounds like a simple question, but I think more complicated once we start peeling back the layers. I like this graphic because this is often how I feel, particularly in Zoomosphere spaces, just like, how do I orient toward the people with me, my own space that I'm not physically sharing, and how do I make sense of that and integrate that? So just taking a moment after noting how nourished you are, just maybe checking in, and we'll do some deeper ways of checking in, but just noticing again, where am I in space and how do I feel? The first exercise that I'm going to lead us in is a more active exercise and the most complicated thing we'll do today. So I'm getting it out of the way. And I just invite you to join in again, however you would like, and whatever feels right to you. So I'm going to stand up to do this exercise, but you can absolutely stay seated. You could even be laying down, whatever position feels good to you to be in. We're going to be orienting toward the 3 dimensions of space, right? So vertical, horizontal, and sagittal, meaning front and back. We're going to be doing the Laban dimensional scale. So this was developed by Rudolf Laban. And the reason that I'm starting off with it is not actually to get it out of the way, but because when we orient toward the dimensions, we stabilize ourselves. So we ground ourselves, we stabilize ourselves in space. So there's no real right or wrong way to do this. I am going to model it once, and then if you just want to follow along with me by the visual cue of movement, and also with my voice, I'll be giving the verbal direction as well. So bear with me, I'm going to push my computer back. I apologize for the weird view for a second. And then come back. All right. Okay, so I'm noticing that the Colorado sunlight is intense, and I hope that you all can see me okay. So I'm just going to model this real quick so you have a sense of what's happening all around, and then I'll lead us all in it. So again, we're basically tracing the 3 dimensions. So that starts vertically going up and down. And then it goes horizontally, side to side, and then sagittally back and front. Okay, so that's what it looks like, but we're going to do it on both sides to even us out. Again, you can do this seated. You can do it laying down, but I'm not going to give cues for that. So if you do, enjoy and let me know how it goes. So again, just have fun with this. There's no wrong way. So to start, and I also just encourage you to use your breath to support the movement as much as you can. All right, so I see some people getting situated, standing up. So we're going to start just by raising your right arm in space and looking up. And reaching with your eyes, your head, your neck upward. Coming back through the center of your body. Beautiful. And then going downward. So do this however feels comfortable. Bent knees, reaching toward the ground, head, neck, eyes, reaching downward. And coming back to center slowly, steadily. Beautiful. So next we'll be going side to side. So if you are standing and want to join me in this, you're going to take a step with your right foot out to the side. Be careful of your surroundings, reaching with your right arm and looking over your right arm and hand, reaching with eyes, neck, head. Coming back through center. This is the only tricky part. You're going to cross your right foot over your left and reach your right arm over your body, turning your head, reaching with eyes and neck and head, looking to your left. Slowly, steadily coming back to center. Beautiful. So then we have the sagittal dimension. We're going to go back first. So I do encourage you to just take a look, make sure you've got space to put your arm out. If you don't, you can just do your elbow, accommodate how you need. We're going to be taking, if you are standing, taking a step back with your right foot, planting it on the ground so that you're stable. Reaching back with your right arm and looking over your right hand, eyes reaching toward the back of your space. Slowly, steadily coming back through center. And then we're going to be finally reaching forward into space, stepping. If you are stepping with your right foot and reaching out with your right hand and arm. And using your eyes, head, neck to reach out into the forward dimension. And beautiful, coming back to center in your own time. Notice how you feel. Some people feel a little weird before we balance out. I am one of those people. So even a little nausea is sometimes happens. We're going to go right into the left side to balance ourselves out, starting with the vertical dimension. So we'll reach our left arm up, reaching with head, neck, eyes, coming through center, reaching down toward the ground, head, neck, eyes, reaching toward the ground. And coming back through center. Horizontal, reaching out with our left side. So left foot can step out. That is available. Reaching out with your left arm, if that's available. And head, neck, eyes, reaching towards your left. Crossing over your body. So arm reaches over your body, foot reaches over your body, and head goes toward the right, reaching with eyes and neck. And slowly, steadily coming back to center. Last one, sagittal dimension on our left, going backward first. So stepping out and reaching back with head and neck and arm. Coming back slowly, steadily to center. And finally reaching forward with arm and or foot, leg, head, neck, eyes. Slowly, steadily coming back to center. Take a breath. Notice if you were breathing throughout that or not. Sometimes when we're learning something new or teaching something, we don't breathe. So if that was absent, allow it to return. And just notice any sensations, any awareness of your body. All right, I'm gonna scooch my computer back. Thank you all for going on that journey with me. If you are more comfortable standing, again, I invite you to do what is best for your body today. I'm gonna resume sitting. So in the interest of time, I'm gonna keep us going, but I really super curious how that experience was for people. So I hope we have an opportunity to come back to it. But again, the idea of the dimensional scale is a stabilizing force, whether you are needing to kind of orient in space, work with other people, in a shared space, it can be helpful. And great, I see some things coming in the chat. I will try to kind of watch for that. I think someone asked if this exercise could be shared. Yes, I am going to put something together for Dan to send all of you. Thank you, Dan, in advance, so that everyone can have a description of these exercises. All right, so we're gonna move into a very brief body scan. So this will also kind of help cue you to how that exercise landed in your body specifically. You all probably or maybe have some experience with body scans. I'm just going to lead this briefly as another way to just check into what's going on, what is coming up for you physically in the moment. So if you can find just a place, a grounded place, whether you're seated or standing. And what I'll invite you to do as you listen to my voice is just be aware of comfort or discomfort. So I'm gonna be just kind of scanning us through different body parts. If that body part is mute, for whatever reason, if it's not saying anything, that's okay. We're gonna keep moving through. If you are cued to comfort or discomfort, just notice that. So we'll start by feeling the lower half of your body. Or if it feels better to start with the upper half of your body, you can feel free to do that too, but we're just grounding our bodies in the space we're in. So if it's available to you, noticing your feet on the floor and the support of the floor to your feet. Noticing toes, ankles, lower leg, knees, upper leg, hips and pelvis, stomach, lower back, rib cage area, mid back, upper chest, upper back, including in between the shoulder blades, shoulders, neck, jaw, cheeks, back of head, top of head, noticing breath. So if you haven't already and you want to take an opportunity to either cast your gaze downward or close your eyes to just let this experience settle. Maybe the first time that we said hi to some body parts, I'm just realizing that I didn't do arms, so I'm going to go back. Noticing your right arm, left arm, hands, fingers, breath. So again, just being curious if there were body parts that spoke to you in terms of comfort or discomfort. Sounds like an easy question. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. I invite you to also, in thinking about this very abbreviated body scan exercise, to take it a step further. The question can be, if nothing feels comfortable, can I locate comfort in a very, very small area like my right earlobe? Right? So becoming aware of the places that feel perhaps more dormant in our bodies that maybe can offer a version of comfort at times. All right. Thank you all for going on that next journey with me. And Dan, I think we can go to slide 7. I think that's where we are. Great. So this term self-care, man, it's like a bee in my bonnet. It feels scratchy to me because of its sort of what I would term overuse, right? Super, super important concept, but gets thrown around a lot, certainly in the mental health field, and I think in other realms as well. So my goal, one of my goals of developing this workshop, was to just kind of put out my thoughts and what my paradigms have been in trying to understand what does self-care really mean and how do I really engage with it in my actual day-to-day life. And so because I come from a kind of somatic background with dance movement therapy, I'm thinking about how can self-care and the body support each other in big and small ways. And I do believe that we glean information from our bodies. So can I use my body as a non-judgmental source of information? And if I can care for the body, I think that I am caring for what is housed in the body, which are my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, right? And vice versa. We are also caring for our body when we are caring for our thoughts and feelings. So it's a positive cycle. But sometimes we need the entrance through various ports, right? Because we need kind of a lot of tools in the tool bag, I think, when it comes to self-care. I think sometimes self-care gets simplified to be an act that you do outside of all of the other stuff that you have to do, right? So, well, I'll go get a manicure and that will take care of self-care, something like that. Maybe, like that could be great. That could feel really good. That doesn't work for me in terms of, okay, but how do I get through a really hard clinical day, right? It doesn't actually help to just think about a manicure for me, and that varies, but this is kind of where this inquiry came from. So these are the best I could do is kind of come up with some guiding questions, and this is what I want to share with you in terms of just thoughts on it. So my sense is, how can I meet my changing needs in the moment? Because that honors that my needs change every moment, maybe not every moment, but a lot throughout the day. And then the questions I ask myself are, can I address them now? Do I need a plan for later? Who and what do I need to support my needs? And then a little bit apart from that, what am I carrying? Is it mine? Is it someone else's? Right? Because that might cue me into what I need to do to care for myself. And then lastly, do I need to calm or activate my system? So I think a lot of times when we think about feeling stressed, we think about calming down. You need to calm down, right? And that sometimes we do need exercises to calm our bodies. I would say, I'd ask you to ask yourself that. Is that typically what you need when you think about self-care, calming exercise? But I think sometimes we actually might be more supported by activating our system. So I just want to offer that as another question. What do I need? Do I need to calm or do I need to activate? Because sometimes our response to stress is to numb, right? Or to go within. And so we actually need to activate in order to find engagement with our world and to be present again. So that's where those questions come from. I'm just gonna, okay, looks like questions are being answered. Sorry, I just wanted to check the chat. Yeah, beautiful. So I see some people kind of resonating with some of this. Yeah, and Anna's saying self-care in the sense of how do I get through all of these hard things I have to do, right? As opposed to how can I support myself in the moment, as opposed to I'll support myself later. I also want to say our culture doesn't particularly support this. There's some, quiet rebellion going on here, I think, when we're asking ourselves these questions and trying to take care of ourselves in the moment as opposed to compartmentalizing. Yeah, let's go to the next slide, Dan, thanks. Wanted to share this paradigm from Peggy Hackney with you all. Very simple, but really is helpful for me in terms of thinking about effort, which could also just be thought of as all the things we have to do during the day, right? And here the cycle is preparation, exertion, we're doing the thing, and we're recuperating from the thing. So I can use a personal example of today, right? Getting ready for this workshop. My preparation, part of my preparation had been, I'm going to schedule myself lightly this morning with clients so that I don't feel too overwhelmed. What happened is that I did that, and those sessions ended up being really intense, right? So sometimes we do a lot of preparation and it doesn't actually pay off the way we thought it would. Our expectations aren't met there. So I really think it's important to think about self-care, not just in that third recuperation bubble, but throughout all of them, right? So how are my needs changing in each of these bubbles, and how can I support that? And this for me really connects to another idea, which is similar to what I was saying before, which is I think it's more helpful to acknowledge the experience that we're having, even when it's negative, rather than pushing through it just to get through it. Sometimes we have to do that. Absolutely, there's a place for it. But I am really trying in my own inquiry of this and my own living practice of this to see, okay, if I'm paying attention, and paying attention involves paying attention to what my hands are saying, what my heart is saying, what my lower back is saying, I might have more clues about how I can support myself through each of these, right? So I failed at this morning, but I will share what I wish I had done, right? I think, when I knew, okay, wow, that was a really hard client session and I'm back to back, so I'm going into the next one. The question I wish I had asked myself is, what would bring me a little bit support, a little bit of support in this next session? And I'm talking like, can I put a pillow behind my back? Can I get myself a cold glass of water because that would just feel really good in my throat right now? So, really small things that support each of these phases. That makes sense. I do see some people chatting, and I would like to give a few minutes just because I think self care is such a hot topic and big topic and really, really important just in the world that we live in always, but maybe particularly right now. So I am curious to hear if anyone has thoughts about anything that I have just spewed out, or just your own personal ideas about self-care, and also if there are things that didn't resonate, I welcome that as well. So I guess hand raise function is what we do here. But also feel free to write in the chat and I'll kind of be looking at that and can read out things as well. Yeah, so seeing some like, yeah, it would be nice to get a manicure, but actually I can't get my work done while I'm doing a manicure. So how do I get my work done and take care of myself? Exactly.
Alex has his hand raised.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Okay, yeah, I actually can't see very well. Okay, Alex, please feel free to unmute and.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I figured you might have trouble seeing me. I just I just think it's really like important. Like I actually noticed a couple days ago or like about a week ago, because I was out in Atlanta with some friends, and I noticed how important like being aware of the relationship with yourself is, and that's an actual thing, and it's not crazy to have that relationship or talk about that relationship with yourself. I also noticed that because all of my friends were like together, like in couples, and I was the only one who like is not. But like most people would be like, that's a downer. But I actually had a lot of fun with myself. And while they were away, I was doing my own thing. So yeah, I just think it's really important to be aware of that, and I'd like to thank you for expanding our education on it a little bit more.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Alex. And I think you bring up a really good point of self-care is really relationship with self, right? Paying attention to my own needs is about having a relationship with myself. Yeah, thank you. Looks like Lisa has an actual hand raised, which I will also respect. I don't know though Dan, help me if there are other.
I know I was looking for the hand insignia. I must have an old, I don't know, whatever. Self-care is, you're right, a buzzword. And a lot of people, it kind of just goes way past them. So when I'm talking about self-care, I actually talk about, are you noticing how you're breathing right now? And is it possible to just take a moment and slow your breath down? And that is such an easy thing to do if one is aware, and I actually do it with them. And so that is something that we all can do in that moment. And I appreciate this workshop. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you. Yeah, really, I appreciate you bringing that up, Lisa, because we'll hopefully have time to do a couple simple things, but just slowing down and attention to breath is an act of self-care. Thank you, Lisa. Okay.
We have Amina. We have Amina and then Bonnie. Yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to say that for me, self-care is reading. So for instance, this morning I woke up really early and I wanted to read this book. It's called The Mastery of Love, written by Don Miguel Luis. And for me, it's a way to really strengthen relationship with myself and self-love. And because today, like, it's my birthday, I wanted to really put some time on that and really go outside close to the lake and really spending time before working on anything during the day. So, and also being here is also a way for self-care. So
Beautiful. I mean, I feel so honored that you're spending an hour with all of us on your birthday. Happy birthday. And thank you. Yes, I think reading for many folks, including myself, can certainly be an act, especially when it is related to relationship with self, right? So nice tie in, you and Alex kind of connecting there. Lovely. Okay, Bonnie.
I just wanted to say, and it's actually my birthday today too, which is wild. Happy birthday, Amina. I just wanted to say I really liked what you said about adding stimulation, because I think that's something that's taken me a long time to figure out, that it's so easy to be numb. And sometimes self-care is actually adding stimulation, whether it's movement or even just being stimulated by something outside of yourself, art, music, a story. It's all the way we could do a whole conversation just on good stimulation, you know, in the body and then coming at us. So I love that you said that. I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you for telling me, and happy birthday to you. And I hope there's some really good activation planned in your birthday plan.
I'm going to work on it. I'll work on it.
Great, thank you. It looks like Caprice, and correct me if I'm saying your name incorrectly.
Are you muted, Caprice?
It's also possible their hand is up in air. I know that happens to me sometimes.
There you go. No, I needed to get off mute. Sorry, that was total user error. I apologize. I'm not able to join with a face, but if you saw it or a picture, it would be of my cat with the heart nose, and he's gorgeous. So what I wanted to say was I really appreciate you bringing up the point about what you wish you had done, about taking a moment for yourself to do something, even, I put in air quotes, small, because a thing like taking a sip of water appears small in terms of not a lot of effort per se. But I think in those moments, for me and perhaps for you, it's a moment to pause, but also a reinforcement that we're worth that pause in that moment. And for me, it allows me to remember that when we're in that place, or we take the moment to validate our own self-worth for that pause, we're also being our of the most loving service we can be for others, because then we're able to in turn be present, because we've taken care of that little quote unquote inner child, whatever the deal is, the inner whatever's going on, we've taken care of that thing inside of ourselves, and then we can actually be the gift that we're intended for those that we're being present for. So thank you. That was a long sentence, but that's what came out of what you said for me, and I appreciate it.
No, beautiful. And thank you too. I think you're also connecting us to that relationship with self, actually allowing us to be able to connect and serve others in whatever capacity, right? That connection to self is essential in order to engage in our communities. So yeah, thank you, Caprice. Lovely.
You're very welcome.
All right, I think I'm gonna keep us moving, although everyone's saying such important things, I can't. Yeah, and so Hillary's mentioning that it's also saying no to things or people that aren't serving our needs. I see lots of head nods to that one, Hillary, so yes. Yeah, I'm going to go a little out of order here. We'll just stay in gallery view, because what Chris just mentioned makes me want to share this mini exercise with you that can also be done in between lots of tasks or sessions or what have you. So this is, and I'm also borrowing this from another dance therapist. So this is called the inside outside hug. And I encourage you to join me if that sounds good to you, and if that is available to you. So the inside outside hug is taking one arm, whichever arm, and placing it kind of underneath your other arm. So I like to kind of actually grab my armpit area, but like whatever feels good and comfy. So that's the inside part, and then the outside part is just wrapping around the other side. So this is obviously just a version of the self hug, right? But I'm going to be quiet for a moment because it feels completely different to me. And I want to just give you all the opportunity to sense into that for a second. And whatever's available, right? If your arms are here, if it's here, all of that works too. So just taking a breath in your inside outside hug, slowing down. I think this also connects the idea to me of I take care of myself, take care of the outer world. All right. Thank you for, again, going along. All right, so I want to lead you all in what can feel like a slightly more passive exercise. And I guess, Dan, we can go to slide 10. This is a practice called the yield ease practice. And this is borrowed from Dr. Amber Gray, who is a dance therapist who works a lot internationally, although she's based in New Mexico, but does a lot of post disaster relief work using dance movement therapy. So I just love this practice and I want to share it with you. So I invite you again, in any shape or posture that you find yourself in, to move toward comfort. And as you're moving toward comfort, notice what cues you toward comfort, whether it's internal or external. Find your body and find your breath. And from here, take a baseline of your weight. So just feeling your weight in space. Notice the points of contact between you and the surfaces that are supporting you. So that may be your chair, the floor, a wall. How much support are you receiving? Notice your breath and specifically your exhale. And use that exhale to increase contact with that support. So settle, relax, surrender with the surface supporting you. Pause and take a rest. And then notice again your weight in space. Just note that baseline again. Then imagine the chair or the floor. Imagine that it has consciousness and that it wants to support you. Let it do its job. Invite yourself to just be, to sit, to lie, to breathe. Letting the chair, the floor, letting it support all of you. Invite another breath in. Once again, just take a baseline of your weight in space. Take a breath. Without letting the support go, come back, maybe opening your eyes, coming back into this shared space together. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and want to make sure we do have time for our closing, but if you would like, so I invite you either to stay in that yield and ease place or to come with me in just a slightly activating exercise, which is very simply just a self-touch exercise, choosing what kind of touch you would like. So I'm going to offer different possibilities, such as tapping, right, and deciding how much force or not you want to give yourself, or squeezing. So again, these kind of activating your cells here. Again, feel free to stay in the yield and ease place, and you can even close your eyes so you're not activated by mirror neurons watching me do this. And then also another option is the kind of stroke. I think this is particularly helpful, at least for me, when I need to brush something off, physically brushing it off. So what just happened for me there, just to be transparent, is I started brushing off my arms and my lower back got really loud. So just paying attention to that, right? And so then my hands immediately went to my lower back, like, oh, okay, hi, you're talking and might need some attention. So just, I'm sharing that because once we kind of turn this on, it can, just cue new information all the time. I think speaking about chronic pain and illness, it can also be too loud, right? And so then the work becomes, how do we acknowledge it and also acknowledge the places of comfort or more mobility or that kind of thing. And actually with that idea, Dan, will you quickly just put up the slide with the Bonnie Bradenbridge Cohen quote on it, which might be slide 6? Yes, okay, thank you. So Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen is the founder of Body Mind Centering. Some of you may know her work. She has this idea that she talks about of our problems are our strengths that have not recuperated from overuse and stress. So this is one way to think about it, right? That these parts of us can also be our strength as we begin to listen to them and give them compassion, right? Instead of, oh my gosh, my lower back is hurting, just stop the anger, right? Which is of course a natural feeling to have. But if we can replace that with some compassion for our lower back, right? And to know, okay, there's some strength there, but man, it's been overused, and how do I support it? This other piece, my body is my only constant home, is, mine, not that it's like revolutionary, but just that idea also helps me with self-care when I think about my body being what I inhabit all the time, even when I'm moving around, going to work, moving locations, all of I wanted to share that with you. And I think, important note here, Bonnie was actually paralyzed in her spine as a child. So she talks about how it's a strength in that she can, while she now has movement, she is always aware of the sort of frozen experience that's underneath the movement. I think that's a really interesting concept. Not having had that lived experience, that's something I really have to think about and kind of experiment with in my own body and mind. But again, just to share that. And she's really interesting. So I encourage you to look up her work too. All right, so if we can go to the closing slide, Dan. Okay, so this poll will be familiar. Going back in for a second. So I do encourage you here, since I just took you back into a cerebral place, you want to close your eyes or just have a downward gaze, checking in with your body and breath. Asking yourself that same question: how nourished do I feel in my body right now? 1 being not so nourished, 5 being pretty darn nourished. Dan will put up the poll for us and go ahead and respond as you feel called to. All right, we've got 62% of you. Yeah, so got 51% at 4. Lovely. Yeah, so a shift, right? And maybe of note is that there's 0% at 1. Can you all see the results? I don't know. Okay, great. Then I don't have to awkwardly read them, not very well. Yeah, so interesting, right? Just a difference in numbers. And acknowledging too, right? There's still those 2s and 3 is about a third of us. All right. Well, sorry if you didn't get the poll. I know sometimes Zoom is weird. All right, so we have 1 minute for a movement checkout and 2 minutes for verbal reflections. Okay, not quite enough time. Hours go by quickly. Let's go back to gallery view, and I'm just going to invite you all to share a gesture, or just share if you want to come off camera. Come on camera. Share a gesture that reflects how you are in this moment. So a gesture is different than charades, right? So if you're feeling really tired, rather than like this, which you might be like, what does it actually look like to be tired in your personal body? So because of time, let's just do this together and repeat your gesture so that as we're doing it, we can also try to take in some others at the same time, and you can scroll your screen as you want. So I will start, and then everyone just join in as you feel called to do so. Nice. Thank you. And for those of you off camera, we feel you and are with you too. So thank you for being here, even if we're not seeing your face. And thank you for being with me in these experiences. There's something really important about the connection piece of it too, within self-care. It's 3 o'clock, or sorry, 3 o'clock in Colorado. If you want to share reflections in the chat or with me, this is my contact information here, and that will also be sent to you in the information the thank you email and information that we get. And I think Dan looks like he posted a form, and I don't know if he wants to speak to that.
Well, thank you so much, Eva, and thank all of you for joining us today. If you'd like more information on our upcoming Hope sessions and our trainings, please head to our website. And also, we'd be very grateful if you could take some time to share your experience with the session today by filling out this 2-minute survey. And we will also send that via email along with the materials that Eva would like us to have. So thank you so much for giving us that feedback. That really helps us to ensure that we continue to best serve our community. So thank you, Eva, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Thank you.